It's very easy to cut a dog and it would be all full of like blood and fleas, but every single dog would go in there. They didn't change it out. And she comes in and she's like, oh my gosh, like, what are you doing to this dog? I thought I was doing so good because there was so much hair that was coming off. Oh yeah, I know. My last groomer almost died. Getting stressed by a cat. You'll finish the dog's haircut and he'll go sniff up to you and be all like wagging his tail. I'm like, oh, he likes me. And he lifts his leg up and then pees on you.
Hi, and welcome to the Key Causes podcast. Today is episode 14, and I have today's guest, who is someone that works with magic clippers, combs, and a whole lot of patience, I would say. Mm-hmm. Dog grooming is what we're going to be talking about today. Yep. Please welcome my special guest today, Tonie. Tonie, thank you so much for being here. I know you've got some wild grooming stories, so...
If I can remember them all. Thanks for having me.
So I want to just jump right in. So first off, how long have you been doing dog grooming?
About 15 years. So I started when I was like just turned 18. I'm like 33 now. So it's the only job I've ever had.
So for those that don't know what dog grooming is, what exactly is dog grooming?
Okay, so there's two types of dogs. There's dogs that have like fur and there's dogs that have hair. So dogs that have hair that's more like ours and it just keeps growing. So they're high maintenance. They need haircuts every month. Sometimes I have dogs that need to get groomed every 2 weeks. So it just depends on how fluffy you want your dog. So they're very high maintenance and they need very regular grooming, sometimes more than us. So we come in and we give them like their haircuts, trim their nails, do all those things, keep their coats like healthy, all that kind of stuff. Even dogs that have fur still need to get groomed because you need to loosen up the undercoat and things like that. So that's what dog grooming is, yeah.
When people bring their dogs in, what's usually included? You mentioned a few things, but what are all those services?
Well, since I come to you, I would come to you with a suitcase and a table, and I would give them a good washing, a blow dry, their haircut, nails, ear cleaning, whatever hairstyle that you want. And that service usually is about an hour in and out, so it's pretty convenient.
Nice. Okay. So you go to them and pretty much everything from nails to hair to ears to all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. So how often should people typically groom their dogs?
Typically it's going to be around 6 weeks. So it's just going to depend on how fluffy you want your dog. Like if you don't care and you just want to buzz them down and like, not have to keep, high maintenance on them, you could probably go like maybe like 10-ish weeks or something. But I had people that I'd come see like every other week and they just want like a blowout for the dog to make them look all like refreshed and stuff. So.
Well, what could happen if you don't groom your dog regularly? It's
actually pretty bad. Like working at the salon, sometimes you would get dogs coming in that probably wouldn't get groomed for like a year or so. And the mats could actually get so matted to the skin that it could cause like bruising and things like that. I've had dogs where like their ear was matted to their face. And then when you trim the ends of the ends of the ear can even be ripped open by the mats, things like that. So it could be pretty serious. Their nails could grow all the way into their pad. That's happened before where like I cut the nail and I have to pull the nail out of the skin. So when you get a high maintenance dog, like you just got to like take them in very regularly. It's something that you can't skip out on. It's not something that you can do once a year. They need to be groomed like very often, whether like the client's doing it or I'm doing it. Someone's got to do it. So.
Dang, that's crazy.
I know, yeah. It's kind of sad, yeah. We've seen like a lot of like sad animals come in that are like super, super matted. And as you release the mats, you can see like all the like bruising, everything that happened underneath, The skin's not breathing. There's all kinds of rashes and like who knows what that's like goes on underneath there.
As you're kind of doing that, what tools are pretty much essential for doing dog grooming?
Well, to do it properly, I would say you definitely need a blow dryer, like a high velocity blow dryer. You need like clippers, scissors, blades, really good high quality shampoo so you don't irritate the dog's skin. That's probably going to be like the main thing. Yeah. Yeah. And the clippers aren't like the ones that you can get like $30 on Amazon. Because I have lots of clients ask me like, oh, like they buy them all the time. And they're like, they never work. Like they don't go through the hair. And then they'll be like, can we get the ones that you have? Like how much are those? Like they're like almost $500. So they're meant to go through like, like goat hair and stuff like that. Like they're very powerful. So
dang, that's interesting. Actually, that leads me to the next question is like, what is that one tool that you couldn't live without?
Oh, for dog grooming? Probably the clipper. Because like the scissor is going to be like the final touches, shaping up the dog and stuff like that. But if you could only have one tool, probably just clipper, you could just shave down the dog,
Yeah, again, and that's like the most expensive tool as well.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah.
Does the size of the breed and the coat make grooming easier or harder?
It can, yeah, because there's some dogs that have more of like a flatter, silkier coat, and their hair dry in like 2 seconds, and then your groom time goes down to like 45 minutes. Where if you have a doodle that has a ton of like thick hair and it's like matted and all these things, it could take like hours, like 3 hours or more sometimes. So yeah, it definitely does like play a part in how long it can take.
What are some of the easier dogs then, or the breeds? And then what are some of the harder breeds?
I love doing poodles just because you can do so many fun things with their hair. So I guess like some of the harder breeds might just be kind of doodles just because of how much work they take. It takes a lot of work to do them. And like I love Goldens, but I would say maybe Goldens only because they sit down a lot. They're super lazy and they'll just like flop over. And then it's like, I'm trying to pick them up, and I'm only so strong. So they can be a little challenging just because of the fact that they're just like, they're so heavy and they just love to sit down. So they're lazy. They're lazy pups. They're really floppy and cute though.
Yeah, I would say I like poodles a lot, quite a bit too. Can grooming ever be risky? Like, can dogs get hurt or sick in the process?
Yeah, dogs can get hurt very easily. So it's really important to have like a lot of experience before you go out on your own or try anything, because it's very easy to cut a dog, even as someone with like a lot of experience. A lot of groomers that have been grooming 10 plus years, like you'll nick a dog here and there. But when you're first starting out, yeah, the risk definitely goes up. I mean, the blades that you're using, they're so strong, they can slice through the skin very easily. You could cut a dog's tongue, you could cut their ear. Like depending on how you're handling the animal, I mean, they could like choke from like the lead. There's like a lot of little things. So, but every tool we use can injure the dog. Every tool. So if they move, like you could cut anything. So
what happens if you accidentally injure the dog? Is there like first aid kits and stuff that you carry, or?
Yeah, so it's going to depend. Sometimes if it's like a little nick, they actually have dog glue. It's like skin glue that you can pinch the skin together and put that on, and then it'll be fine like in a few days. But you just kind of have to gauge like, okay, is this like a gash? And like you need to tell the client like, hey, you need to take your dog to like the vet. And then that's something that I would cover. It hasn't happened like I think like once every like 5 years, maybe something like that might happen. But it's usually a reason, like maybe the dog's really matted, or maybe it was thrashing around, or it bit my scissors, or something crazy like that. So it just depends. It could be anything from a nick to something pretty serious. Fortunately, I haven't knock on wood, I haven't done anything too terrible. The most terrible thing I think I've ever done was when I was grooming this dog, and it had this dew claw that was dangling here, and she's really hard to do. And she like yanked her paw back like that, and it cut the dew claw so bad that it was like hanging by a thread. And then luckily I actually worked at the vet this time, so they just like snipped it off. And then it kind of like took care of the problem, because I guess that dog kept getting it snagged on things. So some dew claws that like hang off a lot, they should be removed either like at birth, or if it's causing issues, maybe the next time they get their teeth done or they go under, just snip it, so that those things can get caught on things and they can get ripped off. They can get caught on their collar, and then when you come home, your dog's just like stuck like this all day. So different things like that.
When you're cutting them, do you ever run into like fleas and ticks and other like weird stuff that's on dogs?
Yeah, not so much with house call, because everyone's like super like on a routine. When you're at a salon, it's like anything can walk through that door. So you never know. It's going to be like a crazy dog, or a dog that's like head to toe covered in ticks. I've done that before, where I had to like hand pick every single tick off of the dog. It's like you open up the ears and it's all inside the ears. There's flea like treatments that we'll do on dogs and stuff. Back in the day, it was kind of crazy. That's where like the word flea dip came from, was you would take your dog to like this like farmer store and, farm feed stores, and you would take the same, like you would use the same bath water, and you'd bring all the dogs into that same bath water, and you'd let them soak in this flea dip, and it would be all full of like blood and fleas. But every single dog would go in there. They didn't change it out. And actually dogs would get like really sick from doing that, because it was like really toxic for them to be in that. And obviously you're swimming with all kinds of other bacteria. So when people ask like for a flea dip and stuff, it's like, we don't do that anymore. But honestly, any shampoo you put on a dog for at least a few minutes will kill the fleas, because the fleas breathe through the sides of their body. So when you put any sort of shampoo on there for 5 minutes, they'll all die. So that's a good natural way to do that. And then you treat your house. So 90% of the time, the fleas are actually not on the dog. That's only like 10%. The 90% is like in your bed, in the dog's bed, things like that.
So let's say someone brings a dog over to you. Where do you start how do you start the cut, the bath? How does it all work?
Well, I guess if it's a new client, I would come in and ask like where they prefer me to wash the dog. Use like the sink or the bathtub or like utility sink. Then I would like set up. It only takes me like a minute and a half to like set up my table and like throw in my like little tool bag. And then you usually always want to start with the bath first. The bath, and you blow dry the coat all the way, brush out all the tangles, and then you'd start with your clipper work. And then you'd also want to rough the dog too. So that's trimming the nails, trimming the paw pads, sanitary, all those like little things. And then you style the haircut, however they want. So, and then I'll clean up. I have a vacuum. Everything gets clean like I was never there. And then in an hour, no one has to leave the house. So, and the dogs are more comfortable too. That's the thing about keeping the dog in their own environment is they're at home still. So they're not, some dogs have issues with being in a van, even though they come to you, or they have issues with being at a salon. They get like really nervous. So this service caters to that type of clientele.
So then are there any misconceptions about dog grooming, things that people believe that aren't true?
Some people think that groomers are just out to get their dogs for some reason. Like we just like do all these bad things to them, but it's like really we're only trying to do our job. And like some dogs are really uncomfortable, and sometimes we have to like hold them to like do their nails, and they might scream or they might think that like we're doing something bad, but we're really just trying to make your dog look good. And like accidents can happen, and it's not that we're trying to like do anything like that. It's just we're trying to like do our best with what we have. So it just all depends on like the dog's behavior, like if the dog flips out. Like I had a dog I was doing on table, and it like flipped out and somehow like did a backflip into the trash can next to me. And I was like, what the heck? I was like blown away. So, but yeah, that was funny.
Oh, shoot. Michael Jordan of dog
Freak
grooming.
accidents happen very easily, I would say. Yeah.
So what got you into dog grooming in the first place?
Well, I always wanted to work with animals. I probably wanted to be either like a vet tech or like an animal cop. I grew up watching Animal Planet, and I was like, yeah, I want to save the animals and things like that. I never knew what dog grooming was. I always thought like, oh, dog grooming is probably you just like wash a dog, and that's like it. I didn't know that there was like a whole world of like the haircut. It's like a stylist. You're like a stylist for a pet. So I was living with my stepfamily at the time, and when I moved in, there was a shop down the street from my house, and I had never had a job before. It was like 2010, and I was applying to like different restaurants and like stores and stuff like that, and like no one was getting back to me. And we were walking by, my stepdad was like, you should go in there, because I always wanted to work with animals. I was like, I think you need some sort of like requirement or certificate, license. I don't know. And he's like, you should just go in there. I was like, okay. So I went in there. I'm like 18, just turned 18. And they asked for my name and number on a sticky note. And then like 3 days later, they asked me to come into work. And then it's been a wrap ever since.
So you just kind of fell into it.
I kind of fell into it.
Name, number, and there you go.
Yep. And you start at the bottom. So you start as like the bather. So you're doing like all the washing and like cleaning and like all that kind of stuff for the other groomers. And I was doing up to like 30 dogs a day. And I think that that's what like made my boss want to train me, because she was like, oh shoot, she's doing like 30 dogs. She's like washing dogs for like 4 groomers, like because I'm prepping them for them, so they don't have to do that. They can just get right into the haircut, get the dogs out really fast. So then she wanted to train me, and I was like, this is just kind of like my summertime job. I don't know, and because I would see her cutting the dog's head, I'm like, oh my god, that looks dangerous. Like I'm going to cut a dog's ear or something. And she kept pushing me, and then I was kind of like, okay, I'm just going to do this. And then I did it, and then little did I know it became my career. It's like your summer job I'm still doing 15 years later. So, yeah, that's how I got started.
That's crazy. Do you remember your first dog that you actually cut?
I actually do. Yeah, I did terrible. Well, no one was really watching me. It was like a really busy day because, like I said, we would have 30 to 40 dogs in there. And there was like this sort of like this cattle dog mix. She just handed me the clippers, and she was so busy. She's like, here, just give this dog a haircut. It's like, how can you mess it up? It's just like a regular, it's not like a styled face or anything like that. So it's like a short haired kind of a dog. And she comes back, and I didn't know. I'm like cutting the hair forward and backwards and like doing all these things. You're supposed to cut with, the grain of the dog. And she comes in, and she's like, oh my gosh, like, what are you doing to this dog? I thought I was doing so good because there was so much hair that was coming off, but there was no technique to it, So, I was totally messing that dog's haircut. So, still remember.
Was it hard to learn how to do grooming?
I would say so. I think fortunately for me, because there was so many other groomers around and the shop was so busy, there was like so much material to like practice on and things like that. So that made it, I think, easy for me to like learn quick. So I'd probably say less than a year. It probably takes people like 1 to 2 years of grooming. It's kind of like a hairstylist. Like, you got to put in your hours to learn.
How long did it take you when you first started doing the grooming? And then how long is it taking you now?
So when you first start, some people can take hours. Like you got to give the dog breaks, but it could take like 4 hours and the dog still looks like shit and you got to fix it. That's like another hour. Sometimes it'll take you longer because now you got to fix something. So it can take hours, but I think for me, it probably was like a couple hours or so. And then I got it down to like an hour. So once you're down to like an hour, that's kind of the fastest you can go. You can't go any faster than that. So there's a lot of stuff that's involved, especially the washing and drying. That takes forever. The drying takes forever.
As you're kind of doing all this grooming and everything, did you ever think about like giving up or changing careers or?
Luckily, I haven't. I love my job so much. I don't want to do anything else. I don't have any other skills, so I don't really have a choice anyways, but I love my job. I feel so lucky that I fell into it because I love animals. I always wanted to do stuff with animals. I guess burnout is kind of like what you mean, right? That's actually very common in the dog grooming industry. It's pretty sad. I'm in groups that have upwards of like maybe 60,000 groomers in there, and it's almost every single day someone's talking about how they can't do it anymore and they need to do something else. But a lot of that can come from being overworked in the salon, where you're working like 5 days a week and you need to be doing 8 to 10 dogs a day, which is a lot. Doing huge dogs and stuff. So years ago, probably about like 6 years ago, I cut back a lot on my schedule. So I work 4 days a week and I try to do like 4 to 5 dogs a day. So that helps a lot with not getting like burned out or getting overworked, because this is a job that is very, very physically demanding. And it's common for groomers to have to get their rotator cuff reattached to their bone. It's common to have like carpal tunnel issues, things like that. So it's really going to be like cutting back and taking care of your body. But when you're young, you're going like, I used to do like 14 dogs in a day, and now I'm like, how the heck did I even do that? But you're young, so you could do anything. So, but now you hit 30 and it's like, you feel everything now. They weren't wrong about that. So yeah.
So then you mentioned burnout. When you do come across burnout, you've cut back on dogs, but what do you do to kind of balance out that work-life balance?
One thing I like to do is like a refresh. Like I like to buy like a new uniform. I like to buy a new product. Like to like maybe go to like a grooming convention or something just to kind of like, get that like spark again. But yeah, I definitely, because I'm excited. I'm like, oh, I want to go to work and I want to use this new tool I got and see, or a new technique that maybe helps you be like faster, things like that, like a new dryer that's like, isn't as loud as the other ones, and like it's faster and like all these other things. So things like that. I think that like little pick-me-ups, I think help. But I think what helps too is just like really loving your job. It's really rewarding, at the end of the day, because you're taking a dog that, is all dirty and like scruffy, and then you make him feel really good. So
if they could talk, these animals, what would they tell you?
Unfortunately, none of them really like me, because I always say I'm kind of like the dentist for like kids, because you don't want to go to the dentist. The dogs don't want to get bathed. They don't want their nails to be touched or like messed with. So unfortunately, a lot of times when I show up, they all go running under the bed or something. There's only like a few dogs that when I show up, they're so excited. They like go jump in the tub before I even put them in there. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, I think you're the weird one, because everyone else like, goes and runs for the hills when they see me. So, but I think deep down they appreciate it, because at first they're all nervous and like scared, and they're like, no, like I don't want to go. And then once you finish, they're crazy. They go running around the house. They like strut their stuff and they're feeling all great again. So I think that they don't like the process, but they definitely like how they feel at the end. So.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So do you need any education or certificates or licenses for grooming dogs?
No, so there is nothing required to be a dog groomer. Anyone can just say they're a dog groomer, which is like bad. So they've tried to enforce licenses before, but they failed. So it's not like, hairstylists, you need your cosmetology license. But typically when you get hired somewhere, they are going to require you to have like a year or two of proof that you've like worked in the industry, at some level. So, but other than that, you can just go in your garage and start grooming dogs if you wanted to. There's no license, unfortunately. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is, yeah. I mean, you can go to different workshops and get like certificates. You can get like your masters in like dog grooming. You can do like things like that. But that's like all like extra stuff. Like you can open your own business and do whatever you want. Like, you just need a business license. So
Yeah, so typical business license, but no extra specialties for dog grooming.
no, it's kind of like this underground like industry. Yeah, it's not regulated.
I guess there's pros and cons to everything.
Yeah.
So for some of the aggressive dogs, how do you deal with those aggressive ones that want to bite you and stuff like that?
I've been doing those for a long time. I mean, I have dogs that have been blacklisted from every shop in the area, and I'm like the only one that can do it. Some groomers won't want to deal with it because they can get hurt really easily. So it just depends on the dog. Like I like to put cones on them, like the e-collar cones. You see when a dog gets like injured at the vet, they put those on them just so they can still breathe. Because when dogs get really worked up, they like breathe a lot, and if you put a muzzle on them, then they can't breathe efficiently. So I put that on them, and I have elk gloves. I have Kevlar gloves, and I'll just get to work. I just do what I can. And for those clients, it's like, hey, I'm going to do my best. Okay, I can't, do a miracle here, but we can get something done. It's just not going to be perfect. And most clients are okay with that. Like, they understand. They're like, no one else would do my dog. So whatever you can do, like, that would be awesome. But luckily, I haven't gotten, like, bit or anything too bad. I mean, I have gotten, like, bit through my nail and, like, some small stuff. But I have been, like, very fortunate. Like I said, knock on wood, that's never happened to me. I have coworkers that have gotten, like, mauled before, like, in the face and, like, all. Yeah, but some of these groomers too always want to like kiss the dogs too. And I always tell people that are learning, don't trust the dog, even if they look nice, because then they'll be like wagging their tail looking at you, and then they'll just go and try to bite you in the face. So you got to always put your face away from the animal that you're working on and being really cautious. You got to read the dog's body language very well too. And you'll learn that over time. Like if a dog like stiffens up and stuff and like looks at you weird, you're like, okay, you need to like take a step back. And then we have different things, like I could put them in like a little hammock. I don't know if you've seen that, where like their legs are sticking out, and we can like do their nails without them trying to turn around and bite. So there's different techniques that you can do and use to get the dog done. I've only had probably a couple dogs ever that I like could not do. But then when you work at the vet, they will actually sedate the ones that are like severely bad. So they'll be under and I'll be like grooming them.
Can you get a sickness, I guess, if they bite you, like rabies or stuff like that? You get
you could get rabies, but that's like ultra rare because most dogs have the rabies, and that's usually a requirement to bring your dog into the dog grooming spaces. But I guess it's tetanus. I think that's what you might need, that I've heard. I've had that. I mean, I haven't had it, but I have had the vaccine. So that's supposed to be good if like a dog bites you. Like, I don't know. It's like, I think it's for like infections or something. But one thing that you can get that I don't do cats anymore because of this reason. If you've heard of cat scratch fever, so that's actually a real thing. So cat scratch fever is when you get bit or scratched by a cat and it becomes an infection that's so bad you become septic. So I don't know if it's just like you're not used to the bacteria, because people that have cats get scratched all the time. So, but I mean, I've had someone call me and they're like, hey, do you do cats? I was like, oh, sorry, I don't do cats anymore because it's too risky. She's like, oh yeah, I know. My last groomer almost died from getting scratched by a cat. I was like, well, yeah. So, and I've had coworkers. I had a coworker get bit by a cat so bad, the cat wouldn't let go, and she was literally going like this, and the cat was like attached to her, and she had like issues with her wrist for like ever. And she had to go through like different physical therapies and stuff, and it still was like never the same. It did something to like her tendons or ligaments, something like that. And then I had another coworker that got like a scratch by a cat, and he came into work the next day and his arm was twice the size. So you can get an infection pretty easily. I think the reason why is because like cats' teeth and nails are really sharp. So when they stab you and they pull out, like that wound closes up and that bacteria that's in there closes up. So it could be pretty dangerous. But there are groomers out there that only groom cats. It's like their specialty. They're really good at it. I got good at doing cats too. I just am scared. So yeah, I mean, doing cats is like really lucrative too, because you can charge almost anything you want because you can't find a cat groomer anywhere. So when you do, you're just like, sure, like just do it. Like
you got to come in like a hazmat suit, fully layered and everything, so you can't get bit, you can't get scratched, long sleeves.
Oh yeah, I would have my Kevlar gloves on, and then usually I put like a little mask on them, and then I would trim their nails, file them, and then I'd wrap them in like this little vet wrap, if you've seen that. So it's kind of funny because the cat's like all wrapped up and has like a mask on. It looks really bad, but like for the cat's safety and for my safety too. And that's the other thing, like cats can get injured too because they hate like the water and things like that. So they could flip out pretty bad and injure themselves. And yeah, it's just crazy. I was grooming this one cat and I got like really scared because it actually like, I had never let like a cat like latch onto me, and this cat somehow did, and it latched onto my hand like this with both of its paws, and like it just like went like this. I was like, what's going on? And then I found out that cat had actually been declawed, so it didn't have any claws. I was like, oh my God, I was so lucky. Like that could have been really bad.
Yeah.
So,
definitely.
but it was funny because her paw was just soft. Like there's no claws in there.
But it was smacking your hand. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
All right, now let's be honest, Tony. Has an animal ever peed or pooped on you?
Oh yes, that's normal. That's like a daily thing. Like,
How do you deal with that?
You wear waterproof boots and pants. You'll finish the dog's haircut and he'll go sniff up to you and be all like wagging his tail, like, oh, he likes me. And he lifts his leg up and then pees on you. So, but yeah, I mean, some dogs, they're nervous. They'll poop and they'll poop again. And then you clean them and they'll poop again. And you put them in their kennel and then they'll roll around in it and you got to re-groom them. Or they're so nervous they'll throw up or things like that. So that's very common. So it's probably why like some people don't really want to like do dog grooming too, is because it's kind of like one of the dirty jobs, you know? So you kind of see it all. So
yeah, it's kind of gross.
Yeah, it can be gross.
You got to deal with the pee and the poo and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So if someone's getting into dog grooming, how do they get customers? How did you get your customers?
Oh, how do they get customers? That's actually really easy. It's a learning, I think, is the harder part because like here, there's like 1 million people that live here in like, I don't know, like 20 square miles or something. Like it's crazy. Like on my Google, I would get like 30 to 40,000 people that would look at my page per month. And you only need like maybe like 150 clients in rotation, depending on, you know, how often they book. So, I mean, I say 150 and some people think it's a lot, but it's actually like not that much. If you think about it, like 30,000 people are looking at your page. And once you have those clients, you see them every single month. It's like routine maintenance. So it's like your pool guy, your lawn guy, your house cleaner, like you go to the same house every single month and you only have so many spots. So it's almost like as soon as people catch wind that you're a dog groomer, it's like, I mean, when I started my business, I couldn't even like go out to my car sometimes because the neighbors would come out. They're like, hey, I heard you're a dog groomer. Can you come do my dog right now? So as soon as I started going off on my own, I was already booked. So yeah, same with my fiance. I trained him during COVID and he's booked solid too. So yeah, it's a very, very in-demand trade. It's just, I think kind of maybe hard to get into. And I don't think a lot of people are lining up to be dog groomers these days though. So I think that's another thing too. Like you don't think dog grooming, like, you know, you'd want to like go do that, but.
Yeah, the market's not saturated or anything like that.
No.
So
no.
you go to them though, right? So it's super convenient on the
Super
customer side.
convenient.
Do they ever want to come to you at all?
No, everyone most of the clients aren't even home. So like 90% of the people, once you go there once or twice, they're just like, they give you the keys, they give you the code, they can get their dog groomed while they're at work and they come home to a fresh pet. It's just like you come home and your house is clean. So it's one less thing that they have to do because normally you would drive to the salon, drive back home, wait for them to call. Sometimes it could be like an hour, but most of the time I've heard like 5, 6, 8 hours. I've heard groomers being like, hey, can you pick your dog up tomorrow? It's like, what? So, yeah, it's very convenient for the client because then they don't have to go drive back and then come back home. And, you know, I just have to fit into the dog's schedule, not the client's schedule, because the dog always has availability. They're not busy. So that's what makes it really easy for booking schedule wise.
Now, with the customers, they most of the time are out of the house doing their own errands, but has any of them ever wanted to stay back and watch you groom their dog? And does that ever become awkward when they're over your shoulder?
Not very often, actually, especially now that you have your set clientele. They kind of don't care anymore. They've seen it once and they're kind of like, whatever. But I think that's like why a lot of dog groomers don't really want to do house calls because they're afraid someone's going to be like, oh, what are you doing to my dog? You heard, blah, blah, blah. You know, they scream or whatever. And it's not like that, actually. Like once they see it once, like they might have a client that's like kind of worried, but they honestly will trust you over time and they don't need to see it again. So that's honestly like pretty cool. So so sometimes I'm by myself and they put music on and some little incense and it's like I'm at like a spa. So it's like really nice. It's very different because working at a salon, it's like chaotic. People are like calling, people are coming in. It's like all this and that. So it's like I feel like I'm like in a different world now, like with house calls. So.
Nice. It sounds like it's very relaxed and you get to do your own thing without much disruptions. Has a customer ever been upset with you after the grooming? Like they did not what they expected?
I would say that typically only happens if like the dog was like really matted and it kind of had to do what it had to do. Other than that, not really. I think managing expectations with dogs that have high maintenance coats that don't get them groomed often is really hard, because you'll kind of like tell them like, hey, I got to kind of shave your dog because it's matted. You haven't brought it in. And they'll be like, oh, we'll save as much as you can. And it's like, I can't save anything. And then you shave it and then they're shocked. But it's like, there's nothing that we can do. So that's a really hard one that a lot of groomers like struggle with, especially with like the doodles, because they're so incredibly high maintenance. You got to brush them so often. It's like a toddler. Like if you let them run around for too many days without brushing their hair, it's going to become a ratted mess, especially if they're in and out of the water, things like that.
I've always had this suspicion that dogs always look like their owners. And do you ever find that to be true?
Yeah, we do. It's actually funny. Even like with the color scheme that the dog has, like the client might have, like every once in a while we'll have a dog that like literally looks like their client. Like it'll be someone with like curly tall hair, and then it'll be like the dog has like the curly hair too, and it's like the same color and everything. I don't know how that happens, but it does.
That's crazy. Yeah. For those people that want to start grooming dogs and starting something like this, where should they start?
Where they should get the training and stuff. There's not too many schools. I think there's only like a few here in California. They're only like a couple months long, I think, but I think that they definitely help with you getting through the door. But a couple months is definitely like, you still need to go to a salon and like work at least for a year or two to really like know how to handle animals, how the business runs and things like that. But most of the time people learn, I think, because maybe they're within the family or the friend, or the place that they work train them. Like if you start as a bather, they'll work you up and things like that. So really it's kind of like applying at your local salon and like starting up that way.
Yes, you get a limited amount of practice, all the dogs come in, and you get paid to learn.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of material to work on. Being in that environment, like you'll learn really fast. Yeah. Oh,
that's great. So then what are some of the common mistakes that people make when they first start out?
I guess like not washing the dog properly is like a big one. When you wash your dog at home, people always say it still smells like dog, and it's because we wash them twice with like really good, high quality shampoo. You got to like really get into the coat, things like that. I guess like the drying could be a thing too, because they think the dog's dry and it's like still wet. And like with grooming, you can't cut hair unless it's completely dry. So it has to be like perfectly bone dry and brushed out. I guess those would be like when you're first starting out, some of the mistakes that you can make. But also with the hair cutting, it's like, it takes a long time to learn. Like you can like jack up a dog really easily. And then it's like, whose dog are you going to do that on that's going to let you, So that's where like the training kind of like, it's kind of hard, because it's kind of like, can I practice on your dog and mess it up, So I guess like those are probably like some of the top things.
What about any tips and tricks for people that are getting started?
I mean, I guess the best thing would be like getting just a really good mentor. Like if you can get a really good mentor, that's going to like save you a lot of time, because it could take you a long time to learn if you don't have like the right person above you teaching you everything. But the best tips and tricks is going to be like getting the best tools and products, because that's going to save you time. If you buy cheap stuff, it's going to break, or it's not going to, go on the coat nicely, and then it makes your job harder. So just from the beginning, just do it right and like get a really good setup, get good scissors, clippers, things like that. Yeah.
For someone who's kind of on the fence and they're like thinking about it, not 100% sure, what kind of advice would you give them if they were wanting to get into dog grooming?
Yeah. Well, I love my job. It's my career, and I always tell people to get into it. So I guess I'm a little bit biased on that, but I guess like the best piece of advice I could like give to someone is like, once you like learn and once you're comfortable and you have like a few years under your belt, I think the best thing to do really is to go off on your own. And I think that you will love your career even more, because you make you're your own boss. So you make your own schedule. Like I used to work weekends back in the day. Now I don't. So it's like Tuesday through Friday. Like it's a completely different life. Like whatever like you were training to do when you first started, when you do house call, it's like you're in a completely different world. So I would say go house call. Go house call or work from home if you own your own house or you're renting and they let you do that. Run a business out of your like home, convert like a little salon. That's a really good way too, because then there's like no overhead. And that's the thing with like house call and like doing it on your own is there's no overhead. But when you're at a salon or you like, want to open your own business that way, it's like thousands of dollars just for, the rent and things like that. And same with the mobile unit. So that's why I don't do mobile. Although there's a lot of groomers that do it. I've heard of their expenses being upwards of like $3,000 per month. And it's like, that's like, how many dogs do I do just to pay that off? With house call, there's like nothing. There's almost no expense. It's crazy.
Yeah, because you're going there and you're using their utilities, their water.
Like probably like $1 worth, by the way.
So it's super minimal. It's your product expenses, whatever you use.
Sharpening a couple times a year. You buy a gallon of shampoo and some gas. Your biggest expense is going to be like your taxes.
What is the most rewarding part of dog grooming?
Probably just like making dogs feel amazing and look amazing. It's always rewarding. Like, you see those videos where you see them like cutting the hair or like any of those kind of like ASMR videos. So it's really rewarding because it's really fun. So, and I enjoy it. So, and it's just like makeovers. You make something that's really like dusty and you made it look all nice and pretty. So that's really rewarding. Especially when you're working on dogs that, really need the help. Like maybe it's like a rescue dog or something like that. Or a dog that just was really matted and neglected. I know there was like this dog that came in one time that had been lost for like over 2 years, and the client came in and she was bawling her eyes out because her dog was just like covered and like all messed up. And I was able to like get that dog all looking good and pretty again. And she was like super thankful. So there's just the little moments like that that like really make you feel like, you made a little bit of a difference.
So there's a service aspect to it. There's one, it kind of sounds like it's therapeutic, and two, when you're kind of helping out customers and dogs, it's kind of a service that you're providing.
Whatever situations they're in, like maybe they got skunked by a skunk and they're like, I need your help, or, they got like tar on them or like whatever happened, so you can be there to help because, dogs are always going to get themselves into trouble. So, yeah.
Is there any part of dog grooming that we didn't cover that we should have covered?
I think you had a lot of good questions. I think you covered like a good amount of it, actually.
If people wanted to find out more and they wanted to follow your page, where can they find your work?
Well, I have an Instagram and a Facebook page, so they could look at my work on there. It's called Tonie's Dog Grooming. And other than that, there's actually like a lot of dog grooming groups that people could actually join. And like I said, there's like over 60,000 members in some of them. So if you're starting as a dog groomer, there's so many resources there. It's not like how it was like when I started. Like there's like a wealth of information online, especially with those groups that really help you out. So.
Nice. So there's a bunch of Facebook groups that do this. They can support you through the process.
Tons, yeah. And there's master groomers in there. They can tell you how like to do everything. And honestly, a lot of questions in those groups have already been answered. So you can just go in there as like a Google search and like the answer will come. So it's a lot of support there. Definitely. That's something that I didn't have when I started like 15 years ago. So
I have a segment where the last guest leaves a question for the new guest. And the question I have for you is, what keeps you up at night?
Just to-do lists, probably, just like everybody else. Yeah. So, but there's no real stress for my job or anything. I can sleep at night pretty well. So
that's great.
Yeah.
What question would you have for the next guest? Great question. All right, Tonie, this was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your world on dog grooming with us. And to everyone listening, if you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, we'll catch you on the next one. So take care and goodbye.
Thank you.